Hello, everyone. Guess who's back? Back again. We're back, baby. This time in the form of YouTube, live streaming. Can you Adam and Eve it? Yes. Chilling with the Villain. We've been away now for, how long has it been? Nearly
a year?
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that so much.
Right.
But I have had so many of you asking me, when's the podcast coming back? What's happened with the podcast? And, we did do a year of the podcast every single week. We didn't miss a week. We had a lot of videos on our social media account at The Villain Pod, which I was just going through the other day and realized that we had some reels, especially on YouTube. No, not YouTube, Instagram, that had, I think, 2 million views. Some of them did. Some of them on YouTube did really well. I think even some of them did well on TikTok. And TikTok, I don't understand whatsoever. And I said, you know what, Sam? I think it's time to bring the band back. So here we are in the form of YouTube. Hello, everyone. Hello, Tino from Argentina. Hello from Argentina, Villain. Very cool. Hello, is it...
Poopy Monster.
Okay, you said it, not me. Woohoo! Or whoop, whoop, as I like to say. Welcome back. Thank you. I can't say any of these names. Finley. Whoop, whoop. Tino again. Welcome back. This is what's
Rook,
up.
Casey, Ty. This is
awesome. Hell yeah. How's everyone doing? Are you, please answer me. Are you happy to see the Chilling with the Villain back? And are you happy with this new live stream form that we're trying out? Yeah, look, greetings from Winnipeg. Look at this. We're international, Sam. International podcast. Can you Adam and Eve it?
How nerve-wracking.
Kind of nervous.
I was worried when you said we're going to cover Backlash. I thought you meant the backlash of us not doing the podcast for a year. So good to know we're doing the.
I know all about
to the pay-per-view.
Backlash. Yes, all about Backlash. No, we are going to be talking about WWE Backlash, but also talking about me. Today is actually today is the 8-year anniversary of when the one true villain, Marty Scale, joined the Bullet Club in the famous Hammerstein Ballroom, where I came out. I killed Adam Cole, sent him packing to hell. Kenny Omega on the screen. What was it? What did he tell Adam Cole? I think he said, as every fairy tale, there has to be a hero and there has to be a villain. And then I appeared, and the crowd went insane. And then I clocked Adam Cole with my umbrella, and then myself and the Young Bucks. I think they kissed him. It's all very, very exciting. Have you ever seen this before, Sam?
I've seen it.
Okay,
of course I have.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But then I thought 8 years ago, that it's great. Like, to me, it feels like maximum 3 years ago. Like, what happened to? I don't want to start getting into this like so early and deep, but since the pandemic, it just feels like time is just not a real concept anymore. Does that make sense?
Sadly, that makes perfect sense.
Right?
Yeah, every day just blends into one, and you don't know what's going on.
It's like, how was that 8 years ago?
8 years, I know.
Right? That's nearly a decade.
Yeah, basically. 8, that's nearly 10.
No, it really is.
You're not wrong.
Next thing you know, it will be 10. But what's really cool about that is that moment is I've had this a lot over the years, and I had it today because I made a post about it, and I had a lot of fans commenting saying how that moment, like, they had gone away from wrestling, kind of stopped watching it. I guess wrestling wasn't cool anymore, for them at least. And they said that moment really helped them get back into wrestling. And I've heard that a lot over the years. And every time someone tells me that, it kind of gives me chills on makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, because I just think, wow, that's so cool, And it's like, as hard as they want to try and erase me from history, I think if you make people feel something, then they'll never forget. Do you know what I mean? So, thank you for the nice messages today on the Instagram. If you're not following me already, I'm sure you are, but at Marty Scale. Got some more members. I've got the Berg in the house, all the way from Qatar. It's pretty cool, right?
Wow, yeah. How's our sound, guys? How are we coming through?
Yeah, I had to, like, sort my laptop out recently and basically had to delete all the apps, including the sound apps and everything else that Sam had made me download. And I've just been too lazy to re-download them. So I'm sorry. We've got a question here from, I haven't read it yet, and I'm kind of reading it live. Desmond Shannon says, Marty, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and you were my absolute favourite Ring of Honor star. My favourite moment was when Villain Inc. Won the Ring of Honor Trios title. She means Villain Enterprise. He means Villain Enterprises. But what was that moment like for you? My memory's really bad. I'm so sorry. Myself, I'm assuming we beat the Kingdom, I think, for the 6-man titles. Honestly, it was really, really cool doing the whole Villain Enterprises deal after my time with Bullet Club and the Elite, because it was kind of all my creation. I mean, obviously I was kind of the centerpiece of it and the leader, but at the same time, I wanted to create that group to help get other wrestlers the rub and help get them over. And if you ever watch those 6-man tags or any tag matches I did with Villain Enterprises, it was always me getting my ass kicked and then making the hot tag to a Brody King or a PCO, right? Like I orchestrated that group to help make stars and get those guys over. Not that they needed my help, because, you know, they were great, but, you know, PCO was a part of Villain Enterprises and became really popular. Again, I'm not taking any credit for it, but he went on to be world champion. And, you know, Brody King, he's doing really well now. So, and then Flip Gordon as well was a member towards the end as well. And I think that really helped him grow as a performer and show a different side of his personality. So, yeah, I have very fond memories of Villain Enterprises, and I just thought it was a really cool dynamic because it was so different from what I was doing in Bullet Club and the Elites and everything else. So yeah, and obviously anytime you become champion, that's cool. You know, I have the belts in my wrestling gym. I have all my I guess replicas of the titles hung up on the wall. So it's really cool. Yeah, fun times being 6-man tag team champions. Plus 6-man tags are nice as well because you've only got to do, well, there's 6 men. So what's the percentage of that? A sixth.
Well, it's it'd be a third, right? Because in a normal match, you do 100% and there's 2 people.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I do 33% of the work. Yeah, nice.
Sign of math here, clearly better than math. But Sam, how have you been? Sorry, we're talking about all me. Sorry.
Well, it's your name and face on the display on the banner, so that's fair enough. But it was very kind of you to ask. I've been pretty good. I've been working out for the last couple of months.
Go on,
isn't it crazy?
You've been dying to ask you to show your guns.
Look, why didn't you tell me earlier about oiling up every day? It's the greatest thing ever. Oh, there we go. Nice.
No, so I'm very pale right now, but go on, sorry.
Not as pale as me. That's a competition that you won't win. Now, my boy, Drew McIntyre, coming up later on in the first match. It's crazy that even in just 2.5 months, 3 months, I'm practically indistinguishable from Drew McIntyre already. Is that nuts?
You need to get the hair transplant first. You need to take a visit to Turkey.
I think I do. He does have my dream physique. I will get there. And let's just, everybody on here now, mark my words. I don't know when. Might take 10 years or 8 years, as Marty calls 10 years. But I'm going to do it. It's a lot of fun. Tell you what, though, injured myself straight away. Do you remember when I asked you, is it better to do heavy weights, you know, or slightly less weights, but good form? And you said good form wins 100% of the time. Then I watched you do a really heavy set on the leg press. Try to copy you. I've been in an ankle brace for 2 weeks.
Have you really?
Yeah, I have. I know, I was embarrassed.
Oh dear, Sam.
Yeah, I have to learn I can't. Yeah, I know, it's bad. All right.
Everyone that's in the chat, thank you. This is the first time for us doing this. I'm pretty sure that I'm somewhat like shadow banned maybe on YouTube. I don't know if, you know, let us know in the comments how you found this link. I'm going to guess it's through the story I just did on my Instagram.
Yeah.
But if you're watching and listening, if you can invite your friends, send the link to other people, get them to join in, we'd really appreciate it. That'd be marvelous because it is our big comeback. So please come join us. Just moving on. There is, before we get into our review of Backlash, very sad day yesterday. Got text message about legendary Sabu passing away, aged 60, and dude, it always sucks when this happens. And Sabu, I've said this for a long time. I've always said how underrated Sabu was in terms of his impact on the business as a whole. I always said that guy should be, if he's not already, should be a multi-millionaire, because the style of wrestling, like his influence on wrestling, I don't think people really realize it now, but he was the first one doing that kind of high-flying mixed with hardcore wrestling back in 1993, when no one else was doing anything like that. His I think that's the thing with wrestling. I think one side of me thinks, wow, people quickly forget, but then at the same time, it has been pretty cool seeing the response the last 2 days online and on social media with how many wrestlers and fans alike have been posting about either their interactions with Sabu or the impact that he had on their lives and everything else. So that's been really, really cool, you know? And it's like, it always seems like we don't really appreciate these things until they're gone. I do have this tattoo on my arm, which is, you can't really see it. I'm struggling here to show it. But it's like a pocket watch and it's got a chunk missing out of it. And it kind of represents the fact that time is time is fragile, you know, but all running out of time. Don't want to get morbid right now. But it kind of helps me, remind me like, wow, I just said, where did the last 8 years go? And it's true. 36 now. It's like, oh boy. But yeah, Sabu, man, I have a handful of Sabu stories. I won't go into them all now, but it's the one thing I will say is I think it was maybe sort of September last year or August last year. Someone reached out to me and asked me if I would go on Sabu's podcast. And I said, like, yeah, absolutely, like 100%. And I don't think I even realized at the time that Sabu had one, but a guy called Josh who runs the show with Sabu. And dude, he had such a great time. And it was funny because I went on his podcast and essentially ended up interviewing him because I'm thinking, he wants to know about me. Like, we've got Sabu here who's been wrestling forever, been wrestling everywhere forever. You know, I was thinking, I want to talk to him. And I was asking Sabu all these questions which he'd probably never been asked before, because I was asking him about obscure shows that he worked in England in like 1998 and everything else. And we had a really good time. And what I'm so grateful for is I got a chance to tell Sabu just like how much he influenced me as a professional wrestler. And I think people hearing that are probably thinking, well, Marty, you don't wrestle anything like Sabu. Like, you don't do any of this hardcore stuff or any of this high-flying stuff. Which you would be right, I don't. But I actually do. I really feel like Sabu is very underrated as a character. And how it's funny now because fans online constantly talk about aura and whatnot. You go watch early Sabu, but just Sabu as a whole, but Sabu had aura, man. That gimmick, I mean, obviously his uncle was the Sheik, and Sabu kind of took a lot of the philosophies and the psychology from his uncle, the Sheik, who, the Sheik was one of the most feared wrestlers of all time, you know, and he drew a lot of money. And Sabu kind of took all that and used that, but then also reinvented the style of wrestling. So it was kind of like, he was kind of the gap between the past and the future. It's such an influential wrestler. But for me, I saw Sabu and I thought, wow, this guy, he's not massive, not a tall guy, but he looks so dangerous, and he has that, you know, that element of danger and that kind of aura to him, and just the way he carried himself. And I told him on his show, I said, what I love about you, Sabu, is that it's not even a gimmick, because it's a shoot. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're not playing a part, and that's what I loved about Sabu. So I'm just really, really glad I got the chance to work with him, got the chance to do many shows of him. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking, oh, blimey, I hope when I talk about Sabu, I don't end up tearing up, you know? Because, and it's not like I was best friends with Sabu or anything else, but in wrestling, we are kind of like one big family. We really are. And that's what makes me laugh when so many of the fans spend all day just fighting with each other and arguing with each other online, because honestly, us as wrestlers aren't really like that. You know what I mean? Especially the more old school wrestlers, I think. I think the longer you've been in wrestling, the more you kind of like, you get it. I think the longer guys have been in wrestling, the less ego they have, because they realize what the business is and how it works. What was the point I was making about Sabu? My brain's gone blank. But yeah, that was what I was saying. Wasn't obviously the best of friends with Sabu, but I always had an amazing time when I saw him. And I think just the idea of the fact that anytime you get to work with someone that you grew up watching as a kid is kind of a pinch yourself moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not many people get to say that in their life, that they got to work with someone that they grew up not just watching, but actually kind of idolizing and looking up to, right? The first time, I think the first and only time I actually wrestled with Sabu, it was pretty crazy because he was booked on a show and it happened to be the same day as my cousin's wedding, but they were only like 15 minutes apart. So I went to my cousin's wedding, all dressed up nicely, left, drove 15 minutes to show to wrestle Sabu, and then drove back to the wedding. It was kind of funny being back at the wedding, being like, yeah, I just left to go wrestle ECW legend Sabu. And yeah, he was just super cool. And honestly, I remember a while back, it'd been years. I hadn't seen Sabu for years and years. And I was doing an autograph signing in Philadelphia, the ECW arena. And Sabu came up to me and was just like, hey, Marty. And I was thinking, I'm pretty shocked he even remembers my name. But he absolutely did. And then, yeah, like I said, it was only 8 months ago or so he invited me to be on his podcast. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I got to tell him sort of how impactful he was to the industry. And I'm sure he didn't need me to tell everyone, also to tell him that. But also, you know, I also knew how much he missed Melissa, and you know, you could tell that he was hurting and everything else. So I just hope he's in a better place now. And yeah, rest in peace, Sabu. We love you.
R.I.P. Sabu.
Yeah, what a legend.
60 as well. Way too young. That sucks.
Way
He's
too
your boy.
young, but he lived like
Double sucks.
lifetimes, man.
Yeah, true. That
He
is
has
true.
stories
Yeah.
for like forever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He did, yeah. Just looking at the comments. Miss seeing you, Marty. Well, I'm right here. There we go. Twisted Joker. My wife just wore her villain shirt yesterday. Thumbs up. Hell yeah. Ivan Kolf. Marty, you are the real villain, and you are the one of the creates wrestlers that needs to come back to the top. Medal yellow, first red. I don't understand all this new age talk, do you, Sam?
No, I think that's supposed to show an emoji, but it's not working.
Gotcha. I still see people wearing villain merch. Well, of course.
Yeah, very nice, of course.
Will you come back to SPW? So SPW is a company in Saudi Arabia, which I've been over for a couple of times. Yes, I assume I'll be back. I haven't heard anything from them in a while. I don't think they've run any shows recently. I'm hoping that they start doing a big comeback, because honestly, there's a big sort of perception of Saudi Arabia, and maybe not always the most positive one, but both times I went there, I really, really enjoyed myself, and I thought it was a great country. I did. I had a great time, and I had an amazing time with SPW wrestling there. They looked after me so well. And the fans there, red hot, awesome. So SPW, big fan of SPW. Yeah. The Poopy Monster is letting us know that YouTube sent him a notice when we were going live. So that's good.
That's kind of them. Yeah.
YouTube are kind of trying to help us. So do we want to get on to WWE Backlash?
Why not? Let's do it, shall we?
I forget that we're actually supposed to be a wrestling review show here.
Tell everyone what you were saying about how we actually quite enjoy doing this a few days after the pay-per-view now. Also, I thought this was going to be on a Sunday. So the Saturday kind of surprised me. Yeah,
it was going to be a Sunday as well. No, yeah. So I guess I should say that to everyone. So typically, when people are doing reviews for a pay-per-view, they're doing it directly after the pay-per-view. Even sometimes, watching it live, doing this, or at least the next day. Like Sam just said, the pay-per-view was on Saturday. It's now Monday, so it's a few days afterwards. But I like to do it this way because I like to see what the response is for the pay-per-view or PLE online, and then I like to critique that. I like to critique the fans' critique of the show. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, people?
Are you going to do a bit of that today?
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right.
Because
all right.
Yes. Well, the thing is, yeah. But I'm not going to tell anyone they're wrong, but I think obviously being a wrestler, sometimes your opinion of stuff is going to be different. My opinion is going to be different to yours. We'd be different to theirs. And I like that. I like this discussion of pro wrestling. And I like, I think if we all had the same opinion, it would be kind of boring, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I think so.
Totally. I wonder how we'll differ on this pay-per-view. I have a feeling we're going to be quite aligned.
Well, first thing I'm going to say is WWE pay-per-views, 5 matches. What do we think of that? What do we think of that?
Keeping it sweet, keeping it succinct. I think it's great because now we're back doing the podcast, so I'm going to have to watch a lot of them. And that time adds up, like you said.
So 5 matches, honestly. Mate, I really like it. Well, it's not necessarily the 5 matches I like. It's the show runtime being 2 hours and 45 minutes. My few critiques of it, sometimes the gap in between the matches is longer than the actual matches. I do love the fact that you have 5 matches, everyone gets time and sort of every match kind of is made to mean something because they're all given time and effort put into them. So I like that. Only one women's match though, I think is a bit, that I'm a bit like, you've got this whole roster of amazing women, and I get you're going to do more and more pay-per-views, but I think you got this amazing roster of women's wrestlers, and then you have one women's match, and it's a singles match, so only 2 women on the whole show. Kind of feels a bit like, but like I said, the short pay-per-views I'm not going to complain about because sometimes these 4, nearly 5-hour pay-per-views, and especially when they're on a Sunday and they start at 8 p.m. I'm normally in bed by like 9:30. Do you know what I mean? So the short pay-per-views I really enjoy. But yeah, I tell you what I love about WWE, just like the production values just from the get-go. You watch it and you just like, whoa, right? Like the shots of the arena and just the shots of the crowd. And there's been a big thing online recently about how, I don't know if you've heard this, Sam, or how in touch you've been with the wrestling, but how expensive WWE tickets are these days since TKO took over. The prices that I'm hearing for tickets are just absolutely insane. And I think it's kind of, one side of me thinks it's really sad because it kind of feels like you're pricing out the wrestling fans.
Right.
But I guess if they're still packing out places and people are paying for them, then it's kind of like they're going to keep charging these prices for tickets, right?
Yes, like Disney, right?
It's
Same.
like Disney. Well,
Yeah.
I stopped going to Disney because it got
me too.
ridiculous, right? In fact,
Me too.
recently there's been a reel or whatnot gone viral of a dad. Basically, he in the reel he told everyone how much he spent at Disney for the day and kind of itemized the whole thing. And it came
Oh, no.
for him and his family for the day. It came to like over $1,500, whatever. So the reel went viral. He's been on the news talking about it and everything else. And it's just like, well, Disney's still packed every day, so they're probably not going to bring the prices down. But yeah, to the people in the comments, what do you think about WWE tickets being thousands of dollars? To me, it's crazy. Like, I just think, why would anyone spend that money? But I don't know. When you can watch it on Peacock for
$10 a month.
$10 a month,
whatever
right?
it is.
But what's really cool, so the opening match, Fatal 4-Way, United States Championship, Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest and our boy Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
First thing I'll say, all four guys got massive pops when they came out, right? Especially LA Knight and I think Jacob and Drew, to be fair. Priest still got a good reaction. And I had a lot of thoughts with those watching those entrances. My first thought was all four of these guys came up on the indies, right? I thought that was kind of interesting. I've wrestled with Priest before. I've wrestled with Drew. I don't think I ever actually wrestled. I did shows with LA Knight. And Jacob somehow I never really came across. I always knew of Jacob and heard of him, but he was always in MLW the whole time, right? He was like locked into kind of MLW. But it was obvious to everyone. It's like, damn, if WWE, like for years, they didn't pick up Jacob because I guess he'd been in jail before or whatnot. And it's like, okay, but he's an amazing performer. And I guess they finally were like, you know what? Let's give him a chance. And seems like he's been knocking it out of the park. You know what I mean? Like, I think they brought him in and were like, whoa, maybe this is the guy that we should run with. I'm assuming this is probably the first time you've seen Jacob Fatu before, huh?
Me or the audience?
No, you.
No, I've seen him. I've seen him.
When have you seen Jacob Fatu?
YouTube.
I don't believe you, Sam.
Okay.
You've been watching MLW on YouTube?
Yeah.
What do you think of Jacob Fatu?
I love him. I think he's great.
Why do you love him?
He seems kind of like what you're saying about Sabu, but to a lesser extent. He's kind of authentic, like rugged, like legit rugged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's cool. Well, an air of authenticity.
Yes.
I would say.
When I was watching these entrances and everyone getting these massive pops, I was thinking to myself, like, the reason why these guys are over. Jacob Fatu, he hasn't been on TV as long as the others, but he's like instantly you can kind of get behind him because he's so athletic and he looks so wild and like, you know, the stuff you said. But the others, I think it's just a case of these guys have been on TV every single week doing storylines, and that's how you get wrestlers over. You got to, you know, I always say this. Every wrestler is like one good storyline away from getting over, right? And I think watching the start of that match with all the entrances, to me, that kind of stuck out to me like, wow, like all these guys are like superstars. And this wasn't the main event. This was the
opener,
the mid-card championship, the opener. All the guys very over. And as far as the match, I thought put together really, really well. They just kept it action. It all made sense. It all was professional. I thought very, very well put together match. I thought for an opener, perfect. There really wasn't anything I could really critique. I think Drew and Priest hurt themselves doing the table bump, the chokeslam deal. I'm not sure what happened, but I heard that maybe both of them were kind of in rough shape after that, which kind of sucks. I guess the big story coming out of this is another guy that came up on the indies with me. Jeff Cobb made his debut.
Yes, he debuted on Laundry Day in just a black t-shirt. I can't talk because I'm wearing one, but what do you think about that?
I think I might have thought the same thing, yeah. But, yeah, I thought it was a shame. It was funny because, again, talking about the online sort of reaction, online, a lot of the fans were saying, oh, he got no pop at all. They didn't know who he was. I thought he got a really good pop when they first
I thought he did.
Right? I thought it was a shame that he didn't do the tour of the islands, or he didn't really have chance to show any of his power or his athleticism. Obviously, he's going to. But I thought the one spot, him doing the crossbody on the post, I thought that was a little bit of an odd choice because Jeff Cobb, for those that are familiar with Jeff's work, he can do a bunch of crazy stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I thought that was a little bit odd choice.
Wasted potential?
No, it just maybe more like a missed opportunity, maybe.
Okay.
I thought it would have been really cool for them to do the tour of the islands through the table. Obviously, they were saving the tables for the main event, so I get that. But he could have done it on the floor or whatnot. But I mean, he still looked pretty impressive, I think. And I think, you know, I mean, Raw is on right now. He could even be on TV right now, or maybe he'll be on SmackDown. I'm not sure. I I don't really watch WWE, week in,
The
week
show,
out.
yeah.
Guys, let us know in the comments what show is Jeff Cobb going to be on. But no, I think that's again a 4-way. Everyone's over. You get a debut, lots of action. Is there much to complain about?
No, I really like this. A couple of critiques.
Ooh.
Damian Priest, when he is on that platform outside to do his thing, he just pops his boobs out before hitting it. What was that about? That was a bit strange. I don't know what was going on there.
It's the fire up, you take down the straps because you mean business.
Yeah, but he's wearing almost like a corset, and he just pulls it just like down to here. Not sure about his outfit, but
so a lot of people say about Priest's outfit. And,
I'm not a fan.
Okay, a lot of people say that, and it's funny because when Priest was in Ring of Honor with me, used to wrestle under the name Punishment
Martinez, yeah,
which I actually think is probably a cooler name as well.
I think it's better, yeah.
Right, and he used to just wrestle in a pair of Kevin Nash red baggy plevers, and I thought he looked really cool actually. So the change of his gear, I feel like he needs to go back to the Kevin Nash pants. Maybe we should start a hashtag bring back Kevin Nash.
Kevin. Yeah. But no, honestly, this was a really good, bouncy and energetic opener. So I'm happy with that. I think an opener being either like a 4-way or like a tornado tag or something, it's just a really good easy way of just getting the energy up. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, I think starting the show with LA Knight, I think, is really good as well. Because he's super duper over, great baby face, and also he's going to do stuff, but he's also not going to do everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like a perfect opener.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I enjoyed being the main event, because
No. Sorry, I was going to say I really enjoyed the extended Tree of Woe part, which ended in that belly to belly, which was in turn a senton thing. That was awesome. Yeah, I really like stuff like that.
What do you think the ceiling is for Jacob Fatu?
I think he can go all the way. What do you reckon?
I mean, the Samoans have quite the history
of going all the way.
I saw some statistic the other day. It was something like 17 of the 41 or however. How many WrestleManias have there been? What was the recent
41?
one? Was it 41 or 42?
Yeah.
Maybe 40. Let's say 41.
41.
It was correct again in the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like 17 of the 41 WrestleMania main events have been involved as Samoan, basically.
Right.
Is that right? I guess Roman's been a part of so many main events, and The Rock's been a part of a bunch, and Yokozuna, and the Usos main evented a few years ago, and I guess it could be true. So yeah, Jacob, he might be one of the most impressive ones so far. So yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how Jeff Cobb gets on in WWE. What I think is interesting about it, so Jeff is a little bit older. I think he's a few years, I think he's 42 or 43. So they've obviously decided to bring him straight to the main roster. If they bring people from the indies straight to the main roster, and they do well, is it kind of like saying, we don't need NXT? Or do we still need NXT to develop athletes and everything else? Yeah, I think so.
I think
so. Jacob didn't do NXT either. He came straight to the main roster as well, thinking about it. And he's doing pretty damn well.
Yeah. This is good. This is a good start.
Definitely.
I was happy to see that. Next up, what do we have?
We have
the one and only.
Match.
Yeah.
The one women's match. Lyra, how would you say
Valkyria? Is that right, guys? Valkyria?
Against Becky Lynch. Quick funny story about Lyra Valkyria. I don't know if I've told this story in the podcast before, but I remember it was years ago now, but I remember I did a training seminar in London, like a weekender, in the centre of London, and she flew from Ireland to come do the training seminar for the weekend. And I remember at the time being like, she's gonna do something, you know what I mean? Like if she's flying herself to a different country to train and learn and to do a seminar, she's probably gonna do pretty well, right, for herself. And then sure enough, she's like the women's Intercontinental Champion. Actually, I saw her in Vegas WrestleMania week, and it was funny because she said to me, "Oh, I haven't seen you since I came." Maybe I have seen her since then, but she was like, "I haven't seen you since that training seminar." And I remember saying to her, "I was like, yeah, I had a feeling you were going to do something, and like now look at you, like hell yeah, good for you." Do you know what I mean? So obviously, she learned a lot from my training seminar from that weekend, obviously. But two Irish girls as well. It's kind of cool in the only women's match. The girls, they got quite a lot of time. There's been a lot of critique recently of Becky, calling her Becky Hogan, which I feel like is really kind of unjustified. Here's the thing, right? With top stars, they don't lose a lot. That's the whole point of being a top star, right? If you lose a lot, then you're not a top star, right? So, and they don't book the shows, right? Becky doesn't book herself. So she's been a main girl in WWE for quite a long time now. And it's like the fans have kind of turned on her because she wins quite a lot. And that's not really on her. Do you know what I mean? So I do think that's kind of, you can have other critiques of her. I'm not saying you have to be a fan of her. I'm just saying like that specifically, I think it's kind of unfair. I also think maybe some of the booking with her hasn't helped. Like, don't know if we watched this one, but it was quite a few years ago. She made a return and then she beat Bianca in like 3 seconds at SummerSlam or something. That I remember at the time thinking, and I think that's when Vince was still booking, and I thought that's not a good way to present her. Do you know what I mean? That's like the fans are going to turn on her for that. And again, not her fault. But this match, I'll say what I did like. I like that they gave the women a lot of time, and I really like the fact that they're trying to push a new star, right? Whether people think she's ready or not, I've got to give it to WWE. They are trying to push someone, and they realize that they need to push young talent because they need talent for the future, right? And this is how you do it. You're going to put them in a storyline with someone that's over, someone that's experienced, someone they can learn from. Becky, whether people like her or not, she's been a big star for the WWE. She has drawn them money. At one point, people forget, I think, again, wrestling fans, as much as they remember stuff, they also, are quick to forget sometimes. At one point, she was the most over act in the company. The man, Becky Lynch, red hot. And so, yeah, I really, really appreciate the fact that WWE, they're really trying to actually push new talent. And yeah, I thought the match itself, I thought Lyra did a really great job, honestly. I thought she's not quite there yet, but she's still young and she's still not super experienced. This is kind of the start of her push. I thought she did a great job, and I think eventually she's gonna get there. I think she kind of, you know what? I think from the training seminar she did with me, what she learned from that was to have wings on her entrance and to have whoop whoop in her entrance music. She basically just stole that from me, which I didn't teach in the seminar, but that's obviously what she took. But no, I thought she did a really good job. What say you, Sam?
Yeah. This match was okay. I think what I didn't like about it wasn't necessarily the performers. They did a good job. It was other things, other factors. So the first one is it was sandwiched in between two fun, energetic matches. And this one was a little moodier, like with the finish and everything, like with the end. So there's that, and there was, it made no sense why the ref would try and like refix the turnbuckle whilst the competitors are active, and then just completely leave the turnbuckle when they're not. Stuff like that. I was just getting distracted quite a bit. Is that what you call being overbooked? Like the end of that?
I actually thought they did the one spot, which was really nice, where I think Becky hit one of her finish on Lyra, and she was going to kick out of it, but the referee didn't count right away because they were kind of with the turnbuckle. Then they were like, "Oh crap!" And so that delay kind of gave her a good reason to kick out, rather than just kind of spamming finishes and kicking out, which obviously we had to save for the main event.
Yes.
No shade. I'm playing, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was overbooked. I tell you what. Okay. I'll say this. My one critique of Triple H's booking, and I've said this before on the podcast, I do think his booking is quite predictable. And I predicted the right result for every single match on this card. And it was funny because all the fans did as well other than this match. And the fans all thought that Becky was going to win. I didn't think Becky was going to win. And I'll tell you why. Because I think Triple H says he doesn't listen to the internet, but I think he does. Right? And no shade. It is what it is. And I think Becky probably does as well. I think these comments to Becky saying, oh, Becky Hogan, she doesn't put anyone over, probably got to her. And she probably thought, me not putting anyone over? Well, okay, well, I'll go out and put her over. I also thought they've been trying with this Lyra girl. You know, she just won this Intercontinental Championship. I don't think they wanted to take it away from her right away.
Right.
So I thought, no, I think Becky's going to put her over. I basically predicted in my head. I was like, she'll go over more like a fluke and Becky will get a heat back and we'll maybe keep the program going, or we're going to transition into Becky and Bayley and Lyra can go off into something else. That's one thing we didn't mention about the opening four-way as well. The ending with Jeff Cobb, Solo, and Jacob all sort of staring off. I love the way how WWE books in the sense of like, it's always booking for like next week.
The next
you know what I mean?
yes.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I need to watch Raw now. I need to watch SmackDown now to find out what happens with that, right? That's what I really like about this. They kind of end on cliffhangers, right? And it's very episodic TV. That's what, you know, to me, what wrestling on TV kind of should be. And kind of the same thing here, you know, Becky got a heat again after the match. And it's kind of like, oh, you know, where is this going to go? Another critique, I guess, of WWE, some things I love about them, some things kind of irritate me. There has been this thing, I think ever since Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair had that retirement match and Shawn did the whole, I'm sorry, I love you, super kick. A lot of the wrestlers have been trying to create moments, and it's sometimes every now and then you'll get wrestlers, typically like in the main event scene in WWE, that it almost seems like they're out there sometimes trying to do an audition for Hollywood. And I thought Becky was a bit over the top with some of her reactions. The whole like talking to herself when there's a kick out and the face was like, to me, comes across as a little bit hokey. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I felt that most when she walks out of the ring at the end of this, like a toddler who's been in trouble, you know, shuffling the feet, just, seems a little forced. But
I think she can just get angry. It doesn't need to be, or irritated.
So, yeah. Like,
it doesn't need to be like, I've lost my mind. Oh, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just a little bit forced, you know?
Okay.
And I feel like that's one of my... And to be fair, even in that opening four-way, they had a big stare-off moment between Jacob and Drew. And that seems to be one of Triple H's go-tos with the booking now. The Rumble this year, there was like 20 stare-offs. Like, oh, and it's like, it's a little much. Do you know what I mean? I like the wrestling to be a little bit more authentic. I get why they do it, and they love that kind of stuff. But yeah, are you interested to see where this is going? What about Lyra Valkyra? The name, not sure about the name.
Right. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but I get what she's going for. Yeah, so it's difficult. I'm actually not very familiar with her at all.
I could see you're not watching her on YouTube.
No, just Fatu.
Do you think she could be a big star with like young fans, maybe almost like a underdog Rey Mysterio type?
I think so. I've only seen her in this one match, so it's hard for me to say, but I can imagine that.
Do you think this is the gimmick she's going to stick with and get over, or do you think she's going to develop and evolve into something else? Is she always going to be Irish Bird Lady, or?
I don't think. I was going to say I don't think it has wings, genuinely not intended. But you get my point.
She does have wings.
She definitely does have wings. Walking with her arms out like this for her entire entrance, like she doesn't have a default walking animation, so she's like in a T-pose.
Dressing up like a bird is never going to get over.
No, at least her wings didn't malfunction.
But yeah, mine didn't. That was before the show.
Okay.
Yeah, but is it like? Does the bird? Is it kind of like nerd culture? Is it like it kind of comes across like an anime or Dungeons and Dragons or something that I wouldn't really know about? Is it something like that, or am I looking too deep into it?
No, I mean a Valkyrie is like a woman, like a Norse female fighter, right? So it makes sense. It's a cool thing to be, but yet like going all the way with the arms in the tubes.
Woo, woo!
Right.
The Twisted Joker likes Irish Bird Lady.
It's a good one. It's good.
We're going to
Twisted Joker also.
That rolls off the tongue a little better, huh? Irish
much
Bird Lady.
better. I think so. Twisted Joker also said that how everybody has to point to the WrestleMania sign as well. That's something that really. Oh my God! Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Do you remember when Ronda Rousey? I can't remember when it was, but like some pay-per-view, she just like kept doing it. Like kept doing it throughout, and it was just really, really forced.
It's like we get it. WrestleMania.
We get it. Yes. We're excited. We're as excited as you are. Oh God.
Next up was the Intercontinental Championship match, right?
Yeah, Penta and Dom.
Dirty Dom and Penta. Dude, for me, it's still so funny seeing Pentagon or Penta in WWE. Another guy that came up on the indies with me. And Dominic, he wasn't on the indies, but he was around. I've told the story before. There was a few years when Ray left WWE and he came and did the indies and he came and worked New Japan. I wrestled him in New Japan. I wrestled him in Rev Pro in England. I wrestled him a few times. But Dominic, I remember him being around. And it's funny because at the time, Dominic was training with Jay Lethal and he was supposed to come to the New Japan Dojo and train in Japan. And I'm guessing that all the stuff with the pandemic and that changed that. And then he got an opportunity with WWE, which he took. And I don't think people thought at first it was going to work out for him. But he seems to have really, really grown into a real superstar. And do you know what's funny? I was watching that and just seeing the reaction that Dirty Dom gets now. And I think it backs up my theory. I'm pretty sure I've said this on the podcast many times. I've always said that romance storylines always get over, right? In wrestling. You do a romance storyline, always works, always gets over. Dominic has done 2 of them. Rhea Ripley and now Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
And now he's a massive superstar. And it's like, dude, like, how could he not get over? Like, they paired him with Rhea and then Liv. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what dude doesn't want to be him?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get it.
They all love them women, those girls. And he's been with them both. I'm sure Dom's an idol for them all.
He's the guy. Yeah, he's the man.
So, bravo, Dirty Dom. And Penta, it's funny, man. I think about 6 months or so before he actually eventually went to WWE, I was wrestling with him in Tijuana. And I said to him, I go, Penta, you need to go to WWE because you will be a massive superstar there. Because he in Mexico, dude, massive superstar, right? Like one of the biggest stars in Mexico. He would come out, just everyone would go nuts. And it wasn't just like smart wrestling fans. I'm talking families, kids, grandparents, everyone going nuts. And I thought, you go to WWE with this gimmick, they put the machine behind you, they're going to sell so many of these Pentagon outfits and masks and gloves and everything else. And sure enough, he's just gone there and instantly got over and is just crushing it. So again, for me, watching these two go at it, really, really cool. And just, it kind of shows how much WWE just has evolved as a whole, and all the stuff that we were doing on the indies and in Japan and wherever it may be, kind of was the future of wrestling. You know, we all thought it was, and now that it's kind of been confirmed that yes, that was the future of wrestling. So I thought it was really cool. In terms of a match, again, super entertaining, both great wrestlers. I thought this was really interesting. And then again, the storytelling with Dominic and the Judgment Day. Some people may have said, oh, like, too overbooked. Like, I think every match other than the women's had some kind of interference. To me, it's just storytelling. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, when a match just has a super clean finish, someone just beats someone, it's kind of like, oh, that's the end of the story then, right? Do you know what I mean? So I personally don't have a problem with that. What do you think, Sam?
I don't have a problem with that. I like it, as long as it's not overly complicated or all the time. I think it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Or you asking about the match?
Yeah, just the match in general. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted/expected it to be a little bit better than it was, but it was still good and most importantly fun. However, something that irked me, maybe it shouldn't bother me so much, but why did they weigh Penta in kilograms and everyone else in pounds for the entire night?
It's probably how they do it in Mexico.
I mean, Drew McIntyre, they did 275 pounds. He's
been in America.
KG's over here. Yeah, true.
15 years. Sometimes I would get the announcers to announce me in stone just to be a bit different,
Stone.
Nobody cares. It's funny as well, isn't it? Because it's like
stone.
The fans don't care how much the wrestlers weigh, do they? Like, let's be honest. Like, I don't even know why
I do
that anymore. You do? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was. So I like the suicide dive into the DDT by Dominic. Yeah, There we go.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think. What is this? The truth is, Marty, Dominic is horrible to me. He's a huge Lumo.
I don't know what that is. Hopefully it's not
What's a Lumo?
bad
Why is Dominic
word.
horrible to you? But I think I love the fact that I think Dominic is a great sign. The fact that pro wrestling fans still like characters and still like heels in wrestling. I think wrestling has gone so far now where it's almost like there's no real heels left in wrestling because everyone just wants to be a great wrestler, which is cool. But at the same time, I think fans, even if they realize or not, I think they deep down, they still want great characters. They still want great storytelling. And they still want good guys and bad guys. I really believe that. Do you know what I mean? Because without good bad guys, if it's just two good guys having a great match, that's cool for maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 matches. But if it's a whole show of it, it gets kind of boring, huh?
Yeah, I would say.
Well, imagine like movies without bad guys.
Right, yeah. It becomes just like a sport.
What are we
like
watching?
Yeah.
But even in sport, you have bad guys, right? Like the opposite.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Is the bad guy. Yeah. No, you're right.
If you're like, I like everyone, it's kind of like, yeah. I don't know.
No stakes.
Well, yeah. No, totally. Yeah. I think the next 2 matches, or especially this next match, this really had the audience split. I'm interested to hear your opinions on this and the people commenting in the chat. Gunther, ex-former world champion, taking on Pat McAfee. I'm going to ask for your opinion first, Sam. What did you think of this?
Okay, Twisted Joker said that this match got bad reviews from what he saw. I
thought very mixed reviews. I think some people thought it was way better than expected. There was a lot of people that didn't like it, mainly because they didn't think Gunther should be selling for Pat McAfee.
Okay, I thought this sounds terrible on paper, but was actually pretty good. I kind of enjoyed how, for example, Wade Barrett, who I really like on the commentary, is just constantly reminding the audience that McAfee just doesn't have a chance in hell and he's going to get squashed. And that's what happened. So it's like a rare WWE match that respects the audience's intelligence. It made sense with Gunther kind of controlling the entire thing, playing with him and controlling the match. And of course, when McAfee wouldn't know how to capitalize when he has a leg up and just kept, all that stuff just makes sense and made it work. And I actually kind of like the opposite of the match before. I expected it to be worse than it was. Right.
Well, so first of all, I think the reason why this match was booked, because when they announced it, all the fans were like, what the hell? This is ridiculous. You're disrespecting Gunther. they're not trying to disrespect Gunther, okay? They're trying to rehab Gunther to get his heat back coming out of WrestleMania, right? He just lost the title, did the job to Jey Uso, which I also really enjoyed. And it's like, okay, we're going to rehab him. Okay, let's turn him into a bully again. Who can he bully, right? Oh, Pat McAfee. The fans love Pat McAfee. Let's have him bully him around. I also think they did a really good job of, because they stretched it out, right? Because I think that's probably the biggest critique I would have. It's kind of like, did they give Pat McAfee like too much against someone that's supposed to be super dominant like Gunther? But they did really well, I thought, telling the story of Gunther taking him lightly and not taking him serious and kind of playing with him and toying with him and everything else. So that kind of gave it a reason for it to, go as long as it did. There were some moments in it that I thought were a missed opportunity. There was one point where, and they still got them, but Gunther had Pat McAfee in the Boston Crab for a second, and Michael Cole came up to the apron.
Yeah.
And they rushed it and they went straight into a different spot. I think if they just stayed in that Boston Crab and had Michael Cole ringside, like screaming and begging Pat McAfee not to quit or whatever it was, they could have really had the crowd going absolutely insane. Like, I think because they were right there, and they still got him, but I thought that was a missed opportunity because it was almost like you guys could have done less and got more than trying to do more and get less. And another point where McAfee missed the moonsault, landed on his feet.
Yeah.
Gunther then grabbed him, Germaned him, he landed on his feet again, but then the follow-up was McAfee hitting a couple of not so great looking kicks. And it's like, brother, you're on pay-per-view. You're in a sold-out house. If you're going to kick him, you just got to kick him as hard as you freaking can and apologize later. Like, you're on pay-per-view. Do you know what I mean? Lay it in. Gunther's a big lad. He's had it before. He's had it before in front of much smaller audiences. In fact, I saw him and Ilya Dragunov kick the living crap out of each other in front of no one during the pandemic. So it's like, either kick him as hard as you can, or I think it would have been so much better if it was like moonsault to feet, German to feet, turns around satellite DDT or something like that. Just like hits, nails something. But the kicks he was doing didn't look so good. But also, I will say this, we're going to bear in mind, he's not like a full-time wrestler whatsoever. He's had a small handful of matches. I think for his inexperience level, he did pretty phenomenal, really, right?
I agree. Yeah. Must be nerve-wracking. Top off as well. He went for it.
He did what, sorry?
Shirt off as well.
Oh,
Most people would have, lesser men would have kept their shirts on, wouldn't they?
No.
So
I
props.
just I just think, like I said, a lot of the fans were very critical before this, and it's kind of like, guys, they're just telling stories. Like, not every match has to be
a spectacle.
Having a great match. Like, it's like you're gonna get that, 10 months of the year. Like, we can have some other and it's good, character development for, Pat, but for Gunther. Do you know what I mean? I think this is like, I don't know. To me, it's just like, he could have wrestled AJ Styles and had an awesome match and beat him. That would have been cool.
I also think it was the right place.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like go on.
No, I was gonna say, like, Backlash is what you'd call a B pay-per-view, right? So like, if this was on WrestleMania, I wouldn't have rated it as highly, right? But I think it was the right place for it.
Well, someone said here, which I've also heard, I've been hearing Goldberg is coming back for one last match with Gunther. That, I personally would be pretty excited to see that. You wouldn't?
Maybe not me. Nah, I'm not really into Goldberg. Not really into Goldberg. In fact, wasn't like the worst Backlash? Wasn't he in the main event of like the worst of the Backlashes?
No, Backlash, Goldberg wrestled The Rock, and that was good, I remember.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of Goldberg. I don't care what people say. I thought Goldberg.
All right.
Do you know what's so funny about Goldberg? Okay, there's one thing I'm going to say. So now, you know how wrestling now, everyone talks about the 5-star system, the Meltzer. Bear in mind, I've got no problem with Dave Meltzer. In fact, he's, wouldn't necessarily call him a friend, but associate over the years. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but he's been good to me, and I like Dave a lot. Sometimes he says stuff I don't agree with, but that's everyone, right? There's loads of people. But some of my best friends I disagree with. But back in the day, I remember reading The Observer, and like when I was a kid, and he would review Nitro, and he would give the matches all star ratings, right? And then there would be like a Goldberg squash, you know, a 2-3 minute match of Goldberg's, and he would rate the match as a dud, right? But I would watch the match, and the crowd would be losing,
loving it,
absolute shit, right? Going absolutely insane. And he was probably the reason why 95% of the audience was there and going crazy. I'm thinking, how is that not a 5-star match? And recently he said, like, well, you know, this match wasn't necessarily for me, but the crowd loved it, so it was 5 stars. It's like, well, didn't you give Rock and Hogan like 3.5 stars? If that wasn't a 5-star match, I don't understand what was. But like, if Goldberg's booked to do a 2-minute squash match and he does it, and the crowd loses their absolute mind, and they're like, "That's what I pay my money for. That was amazing." Is that not a 5-star match, or are we just basing these ratings on if the match is long with lots
and technically proficient? And I see your point. Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Was entertaining is
did it do
really
the job
what
it was supposed to do?
Exactly.
Should be the, you know what I mean? Did it do the business that it was supposed to? I think should be how you rate it. But
fair enough.
I hated when Goldberg squashed Kevin Owens and beat the Fiend. Yeah, I see that. I see why people, if he beats their favorites, and that's normally why a lot of fans end up turning on wrestlers, is when they feel like they're not putting over newer talent. Got to remember though, the wrestlers aren't the bookers. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, long live the villain. Thank you, Mercury XV. But no, overall, man, I feel like I haven't really been very critical of this pay-per-view. It's an easy watch, honestly. It is.
I know, that's the thing. It's like,
And you know what? I think
you can't be mad at it. Yeah.
So, coming out of WrestleMania weekend, it was funny because you didn't watch WrestleMania, did you?
I watched the second night.
Okay.
Sunday night.
The main event of the first night had an amazing freeway match. The main event was amazing. Roman, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. I thought it was an incredible freeway. Beautiful. The next day, the opening freeway with Rhea, Io, and Bianca.
Bianca Bella, That was awesome.
I thought it was like the best.
It was fantastic.
One of the best freeways I've ever seen. Without doubt, the best women's freeway I've ever seen. I thought it was incredible, right? I came out of that weekend thinking, my God, there was 2 incredible freeway matches on those WrestleManias. Amazing. The fans came out of that weekend being like, we hated the main event on night 2. Right? And I watched that and was just like, okay. And then after that, I was thinking, those freeways are bloody brilliant. Yeah. But the other fans, they forgot about the freeways and just hated the main event on night 2. So I guess it's the way you look at it. I just, again, I can watch these WWE pay-per-views. To me, they're very easy watches. And there's nothing really ever too offensive on there, or do you know what I mean? Like, to me, I think they're very digestible.
Yeah, easy to consume. Yeah, and that sounds like a criticism, but it's not.
It's not.
It's a good thing. Yeah,
it is. It is. I guess that takes us to the main event.
Yeah.
I'm having to think, what was the main event again?
Randy Orton and John Cena.
So
wasn't it fantastic? It actually wasn't bad.
So, well, I think, again, I was talking about Triple H listening to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I think clearly, John Cena may have got a little bit rattled from the feedback from WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And the finish of the WrestleMania match with Cody was really bad. But I also pretty sure it was by design to go with John Cena's I'm going to ruin wrestling narrative and storyline. I I see what John Cena is trying to go with this "I'm going to ruin pro wrestling" deal, but I also don't really understand how you can do that effectively. Like, I think the idea is in his head is I'll have like a reign of terror, right? Like, they used to talk about Triple H's reign of terror in 2003 when he would just retain the title every month and everyone would be like, it sucks. Jeff Jarrett kind of did it in TNA, the TNA Jeff Jarrett reign of terror. So I think in his head he's thinking, I'll have my title run every pay-per-view, I'll win with a crappy finish. Everyone's going to hate me being champion because even though he's turned heel, there's still a lot of fans cheering him. And there's still a lot of fans wearing his t-shirt, especially at WrestleMania. When I saw WrestleMania, half the crowd were wearing his blue t-shirt. So I think in his head, he's thinking, if I'm going to be a heel, I want to be a real heel. I'm going to get the people to hate me. And then on my last night, the people are really going to want to see Cody finally end my reign of terror and take the championship back. And that will get Cody over as an even bigger babyface. Here's where the issue lies, right? There's actually many issues with this whole deal. It's kind of like, I'm going to ruin wrestling. Okay, so you're going to do these bad finishes where people just go, I don't really like this anymore, and they stop watching? Like what?
What's the end?
Where does it cross the line? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are they going to still be there at the end to watch you drop the title back? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, this is probably my biggest criticism of the way WWE is doing stuff now, and I guess Triple H's influence and booking. Bearing in mind, I've just sat here and put the whole company over and the product over, so I'm not burying WWE.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really dislike, I don't like how they need to remind us now every 3 minutes that wrestling is fake and it's a big work and it's produced by Triple H, and we've got to see videos all the time of Triple H helping the wrestler practice their entrance. They do these media scrums. They had John Cena turn heel with The Rock, and then they did a media scrum afterwards where Triple H and The Rock were talking about how they orchestrated this big heel turn. Okay, I get that we're trying to evolve the business into a new direction, but there's this thing that wrestling has called mystique, which the business, well, actually, in our business, it's called kayfabe, but what it kind of means really is partly the mystique of wrestling. Okay, we know that it's not a shoot, we know it's not real, but we don't really know how it's done, right? And we're intrigued by it. The fans want to be taken on a ride, okay? Just like when you watch a movie, halfway through the movie, you don't want to, see offcuts of the actors talking about what they're doing and everything else, right? You, at least not the first time you watched a movie anyway, right? You want to be taken along for the ride. Them reminding us that it's fake and a work the whole entire time, and now John Cena's going out there and trying to act like a heel, and people grew up watching John Cena and loving John Cena, and even if they didn't love him back then because he was pushed too heavily, they appreciate him now because they realize this is the last time they're ever going to get to see him, right? Remember, I don't know how many people here watch British football or soccer as you call it, but do you remember David Beckham, how big of a star he was in England back when we were kids, right?
Of course.
And then he turned heel, I think it was in World Cup 98, where he kicked that player and got a red card, got sent off, and England lost in the semi-finals, I want to say. My memory's terrible. So he was a big heel for a while. Eventually, and he won the people back. But if you got to see David Beckham in his retirement match, are you going to boo him? No, you're going to be oh, amazing, right? And it's the same thing with these fans. They don't really... The Cena heel turn for me has been the heel turn itself, excellent, right? And I guess we don't really need to talk about this because a lot of people have talked about it all.
Yeah.
But they really, really screwed up with not having The Rock involved for the follow-up from the heel turn. Because I think people saw it and thought, whoa, there's going to be this awesome elite group of The Rock.
Right.
Elites, and then they kind of started this Illuminati style storyline. But yeah, just to not follow up on it. If you watch this TV series on Netflix and it had this really crazy first episode, and then for the next 5 episodes, it didn't reference that at all, and you got to the point where you're like, I think they're just hoping I forgot that first episode.
Well, that's what drew me in the yeah. Right. So I'm here, and
Right. So that's been a real big cluster. I think I almost feel like in this day and age, we need to redefine what a heel is, because I don't know if we can have real heels when we're telling everyone how orchestrated and fake the whole thing is constantly. Not a fan of that. I don't think we need the media scrums. Honestly, I don't really know what the benefit of the media scrums are.
Is that a TKO thing?
Well, UFC started them, right?
Right, that's what I mean, yeah.
So I guess, well, UFC started them, and then AEW started doing them. And for AEW, it was kind of like, well, I guess they're trying to be different to WWE at least. Like, okay.
Right.
But I don't think it's been good for them either, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think there's anything really that's come out of them. And honestly, with AEW, one of the biggest things that came out of it was the CM Punk fiasco, which obviously wasn't good for the company, right? And it's like, we're peeling back the curtain too much. And honestly, even with Hollywood, even though they do things like, behind the scenes clips and stuff like that, there's actually more mystique, I think, to Hollywood now than there is wrestling.
To wrestling, yeah.
Because I think even, like, you've seen that whole deal with Justin Baldini and Blake Lively. People are so, like,
invested in that.
What's really happened. We want to know. There's this mystique to it where people are engaged. They want to know, right? And it's like, and I think the same thing with wrestling, but now the wrestling's just been like, this was happening backstage. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm not really a big fan. And I think it hurts the product. It's like, yes, we all know that this is not real, but people want to be taken on a ride. So just let them go on the ride. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I 100% agree. And it seems like everyone in the comments agrees with you as well.
Really?
Yeah, Digi says the media scrum, I believe, is supposed to add some level of realism and media interaction. Yes, that is what it's supposed to be doing. But does wrestling need it?
Telling us how fake it all is.
Exactly, yeah.
By telling us how not real it is.
Yeah. I just don't think wrestling is the right format to do that. They're at loggerheads,
Well, and so I think Cena's, or their idea, will have a really bad finish for WrestleMania. It's going to go with John Cena's "I want to ruin wrestling." Then the feedback was so bad, I'm going to guess Cody wasn't happy having everyone say his match sucked at WrestleMania. Knowing Cody like I do, that probably really upset him. And honestly, that would upset any wrestler, right? It really would. And so then I think that maybe they've got cold feet on this ruined wrestling storyline. And I think they've been like, okay, we didn't really do any smoke and mirrors with the Cena and Cody match, which I thought that's what the match was going to be, right? I thought it was going to be all smoke and mirrors. They didn't really do any of it. They had the Travis Scott thing, wasn't good. So for this match, it seemed like they were like, yeah, let's do all the smoke and mirrors. And to be fair, it worked, right? It worked. People there were still people kind of criticizing the match, and it's kind of like, both these guys are in their late 40s as well. Let's remember that, right? But also, man, like, wrestling must just be so easy when you're that over. Because they were basically just taking it in turns to hit moves on each other, and the crowd was just eating it up, right? Like, just people just loving it, huh?
Yeah. Randy Orton, I could watch anything with him in. What do you reckon? Like, he always delivers. I didn't like how long he was pinned before Cena got the 3 count. I thought that made him look weak. But because, like, when Orton was just repeatedly pinning Cena, it didn't make him look weak because no one could officiate it. So it just kept happening. But I didn't think the other way around, Orton got the same respect, and I'm not sure I enjoyed that. But other than that, it was pretty good fun. But my question I've wrote in my notes for you, I'm just curious about your thoughts, is that RKO/FU at the same time. Do you think it read well. I didn't understand what happened. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it sounds like such a great idea.
Yeah,
and I like the idea. It is a great idea, but I just didn't think it translated on the night, and I didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah, they had to like replay it. And even the commentators missed it. I got it because they've done that spot before, so I knew it. But even the commentators missed it, and they had to be like, "Oh, why is Cena down?" And then they saw the replay and were like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, it was an RKO. Yeah.
But you say that, but the crowds chanted, "This is awesome" after that. So the crowd's kind of been conditioned to do so. I think. Here's an issue.
I mean, it was awesome. I just didn't see it.
Here's an issue, right? And I'm seeing now someone saying Cena Orton was extremely overbooked, but it was great seeing them put on an entertaining match. It's like, was it overbooked? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say overbooked, because overbooked would mean that so much is going on where it doesn't make sense, where it still did mean sense. To me, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors, okay?
Right.
But that's kind of what it needed. I think they always have this problem. You make a new champion at WrestleMania. No one thinks the champion who just won it at WrestleMania is going to lose it at Backlash.
Right.
All right. You know what I mean? Always a problem. Do you think anyone in that building thought Randy Orton was going to win the world title?
Right.
Do you think anyone watching at home thought Randy
takes it away from him on a B pay-per-view the next... Yeah, no.
But that being said... I don't think anyone thought he was going to win, but they were still going absolutely crazy. So maybe some people did think at some points he was going to win, because they were still into the near falls, still going crazy. Or do you think they were just like, it was like seeing like a classic band playing their big hit, and they're just like, I want to go crazy for this.
That's why I was enjoying it. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. I tell you what, wasn't it heartbreaking when the announce table broke after the FU and not while it was happening?
Well, what I really liked about that is obviously that happened, and you could tell Orton was pissed.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, let me get another table." Then he goes to the side of the ring to get a table out and realizes like it's that screen now and not an apron, you know, where you can't. Like, it's like, God damn it! Like, and he's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's get like 2003 Orton to come back where he just goes nuts, right?" He goes all the way around the other side. But what I liked about it, just because they're true pros, he gets the table out. He sets it up, and he doesn't just pick up Cena to put him through it. He grabs Cena, and they call it, okay, let me pick you up first, tease me, and then basically we call it in wrestling a dip, you know, like a little dip before the spot. Like, so Cena picked him up, he fell by and picked him. It's simple, but like, you know, people that aren't as experienced with it, they just put him through the table. You know what I mean? They still try to make it look like that it was part of it rather than just, you know, covering their mess up. Just real quickly, anyone, we're going to go in a minute. We're just wrapping up now. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We're going to answer a few questions.
Yeah, this is the latest Marty has ever been up.
It actually is. Yeah, 9:18. It really is. I'll tell you actually what I thought was maybe a little overbooked was I thought the R-Truth run-in was a little bit too much. But that being said, I don't know if you saw what happened, but in the media scrum afterwards, they had Cena attack R-Truth, and maybe they won't do it for a pay-per-view, but I did start thinking, I was like, if they do really want to try and get some real heat on Cena, I still don't think they'll get all the way there, but if they just had Cena versus R-Truth, maybe not for a pay-per-view. I mean, they could, maybe not for a pay-per-view, but maybe on even like this Saturday night or Saturday night's main event that's coming up, or a big episode of Raw, if they had Cena versus Truth and kind of had Cena really destroy Truth, it might actually get some heat on Cena, because the fans love Truth, right? They really love Truth. And that actually could be quite a good storytelling with the idea of Truth's idol, you know, being John Cena, and that could actually get some good emotion, I think, out of the audience. So I think that could be a way, but the Cena heel turn, the first time when he turned heel, I was like, oh man, this is money. Like, this is incredible. Since then, I think it's kind of, the legs have kind of been cut off.
Chopped off of that, yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I get it. It's always, yes, exactly, yeah. Yeah. He still is in great shape as well. Like, he is ripped. He is ripped. I've got two questions for you real quick.
Yeah.
First one. What do you think about this design of the announce table where you can see the commentators' little feet and legs underneath versus the classic closed table?
Oh, really? Could you? I kind of feel like when I saw the tables, they looked pretty cool from what I can remember. Yeah, I thought they were cool. I can't really
Okay.
remember, but I remember thinking, oh, the new tables are cool. I think.
Okay. I disagree, but that's fair enough.
Really?
Second
Oh,
question.
let me look
Yeah.
at it again, but
Yeah.
go on.
I like the classic one with the closed black border so you can't see people's legs and wires and stuff. Second question. What's your favorite Backlash? Mine is 2000, I think.
What was the one with the cool set with the like? Do you remember the entranceway where it had the cool like trussing that was like spikes, curved spikes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's
No, I don't know what you're trying to.
The first few Backlash sets were like, well, like the early 2000 ones were like that.
What-
You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, you'll know it when you see it. One of those ones, I think, like Scotty Tuati wrestled D Malenko, I want to say, and he did a DDT from the top. I want to say, I don't think it was a good Backlash, but I remember as a kid, I had Backlash 99 on VHS. The front cover had Mankind's face on it, and I watched the crap out of that video. So that might be up there. But yeah, Backlash is like, bro, I can't really remember. I'll go with 99. I think that was the first one, actually.
Yeah. Backlashes seem to be a mixed bag. Now. Yeah.
Because what we'll say about this. So I think with WWE, there's always this slump, like after WrestleMania. There's always like a little down
Post-WrestleMania, yeah.
period, right? And what I'm hearing on the internet is that they originally wanted to do the John Cena heel turn at WrestleMania rather than an Elimination Chamber, and I think that would have been so much better if they'd done that. If they did the build for Cena and Cody with them both as baby faces, and then in the match have Cena turn heel. He has to cheat to win. You end WrestleMania with the John Cena heel turn, big cliffhanger. Then I think the weeks and months after WrestleMania, you might avoid that slump because everyone would be excited to see the Cena heel turn, especially if The Rock got stuck around and been a part of it. So, yeah, bit of a botch. Should we answer a few questions?
Yeah, we can do.
Miss Amanda Jane. Amanda, where have you been? I haven't seen you comment until now. We need to see you on one of those AAA NXT shows. But that's me being selfish. I don't think you're being selfish. I think a lot of people would like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope so. I think Conan, if he has any say in the matter, he would love to have me involved with some of this AAA and NXT stuff. The only thing I think what might be kind of difficult for me is I assume if they're going to use any non-Mexican wrestlers, they're going to use their own, like NXT guys. So they'll send their own wrestlers to AAA. So I don't know. But they might also be like, let's give Marty a chance. So that would be cool. Tino says, Marty, if you go to TNA and take the world title from Joe Hendry, I would love that. I mean, we're saying that wrestling misses heels now. Imagine the villain in TNA beating up Joe Hendry and taking his title. I could see that.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think TNA could maybe do with a main event caliber talent like myself. Who knows?
Okay.
Do we have any other questions? It was all about
no, not really.
To
Yeah,
AEW.
I think that
Well,
is it.
go on.
I've got a question for you. What would you give Backlash 2025 out of 5 for old time's sake? I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think 3.5 is quite fair.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what does everyone think?
Yeah, put your stars in the comments.
Well, actually, let us know if you like this new format of us streaming live. This is the first time we've ever done it. We're still trying to work it out, I guess. The reason we wanted to do this is because there's a thing called super chats. We were hoping people were going to give us money.
Yeah, we want that.
We had any super chats, so we've got to step up our game, I guess. But
we do.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure this all out. But if you like this, let us know. If you did like this, then please tell your friends, and we can. We're trying to build a community and everything else here. So yeah, please help us promote this and make it a thing. And I don't think with the podcast we're going to be so like every single week at the same time. I think we might play it more kind of like when
By ear.
when
When it makes sense.
when it makes sense. Okay, it's time for a live stream. We'll just go live with a live stream. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think that kind of works. And to be honest with you, there's always so much going on with wrestling. I'm sure like we'll never be short of things to talk about. But we don't really need to promote anything. We're not here to sell anything. We're just here to have a chat and hang out. So
we got one last question.
That would be cool.
Yes, that would be amazing if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Marty, do we think that they have a broader program with Jeff Cobb where he's going to strike out on his own as a solo performer, or will he just stay with the bloodline until the wheels fall off from Digi? I think 100%.
I saw someone being like, oh, they brought him in, not in like a main like he's older and they've brought him in like not in a main way. I was like, what? Like they've brought him in. This is a great way to bring him in. Like bring him in with the bloodline who are already established. And I know it's not like the original bloodline, it's the new bloodline, which is obviously not as big as the original bloodline, but it's like still a very featured act on the show. You instantly putting him into the storyline, into a dynamic with other characters that are over and everything else. Jeff's an awesome performer. They're putting him in there, rubbing shoulders with great talents that are established. I think Jeff's going to do pretty well. I'm pretty sure Jeff's going to do pretty well. Amanda's asking me am I doing bias by answering all Amanda's questions? Since it's Best of Super Junior season, who's your pick to win? I'll be honest with you, Amanda. Super Juniors isn't really all that without the villain in it, huh? Is it? They kind of need the villain in the Super Juniors to really give it that. Well, it misses a villain. That's what I'm going to say. It needs a villain.
Yeah. Marty, we were supposed to have set up super chats.
Oh, we were? But I'm the personality on this show. You're the
All right. Well, give me a password.
Job.
Yeah. I'll figure it out for next time.
Personality, and you forgot to do the super chats.
There we go.
God
there we go.
We have to set up, do we?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll figure that out.
So we're going to have to do another one of these at some point because we need to make some damn money already, okay? And then you guys can hopefully give us like I don't know, like it's like tips now, like how I have to tip everyone for everything.
Yes.
You know? Now you have to tip when you watch a YouTube video. You have to tip as well. Or when you listen to a podcast, you got to tip.
Got to tip.
Right? Got to tip for everyone.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
so much, everyone. Yeah.
We love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone that commented. We really appreciate you. And we hope to see you next time. If you want us to do this again, let us know in the comments. That'd be awesome.
All right. Amazing. Thanks everyone.
Guys. Love you.
Take care.
Good show.